time about the first time I wore a swimsuit at the beach. I'm 21 and it's the first time I'm going to wear a swimsuit in public. I'm really nervous and my boyfriend is like, take off your t-shirt, let's just go. I'm like, okay, it's cool, let's do this, let's go. I get like an inch before the water and I hear to the left of me, your body's offending me. And I'm like, yeah, your body's offending me and you look like a whore. Bitch! This is my first time I've worn a swimsuit out ever in public and this is what happens? So, I mean, as soon as you call out my body, I just was like, you just opened all doors for me to roast you. Oh, I did it. I stooped to her level and, well, fuck you, you fat bitch. That's why you eat McDonald's every day to look like that and I work out every day to look like this, you fucking crackhead, motherfucking ass, oompa loompa body ass bitch. And, well, she's all like, oh my god. Comes to her husband that was looking at me. And he comes up to my boyfriend and he's like, you need to correct yo girl, like, bro, your wife was out of pocket. And then 2 sheriffs come over and they kick them out of the park, ban them from the park, it's like your swimsuit is fine, this is a beach, you can wear that. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna post a picture of me in a really, really nice bikini on social media. So then I did that and I feel a lot better about myself, but now I don't ever want to go in public in a swimsuit because, the fuck. And there was people all on that beach that recorded the whole thing because I was going in on her ass and she was being mean right back to me. So whoever has those films that happen in Michigan on a beach of a fat lady telling me I was a whore and I went back at her and called her a crackhead, send that to me on my Instagram.
Here's a story about how my handwriting helped me pass biology. So my freshman year of high school, I was taking biology and my teacher was kind of odd. But I was one of her favorites, so I couldn't complain. And I was only one of her favorites because she loved my handwriting. I remember her telling me, Abby, I don't want to mark this wrong because your handwriting is beautiful on the paper. But wait, it gets better. One time she asked me to come in during lunch to work on her daughter's wedding invitation. She wanted my 14-year-old ass to write her daughter's wedding invitation. But I said, okay, let me collect my coins. And so I'm in her class just like writing, chatting, when I tell her, Miss, I'm so scared for the biology test that we have this week because I just haven't been able to study. I just want your daughter's wedding invitations to come out so nice. And she goes, Abby, do not worry about it. Just come up to my desk when we hand out the tests tomorrow. She gave me the answer key. So yeah, that's honestly how I got good grades in high school because all my teachers liked my handwriting.
I told my 36 female husband, 37 male, that we should get a divorce so he can marry his late wife's tombstone. I married my husband 10 years ago. Prior to our relationship, he had been married for 2 years to L, 22 female. Sadly, she passed away because of an ongoing health issue. I met my husband 5 years after her passing. At the beginning of our relationship, I had some issues with his romantic history. To put it bluntly, I was having trouble accepting my husband's past and that he did not stop loving his late wife, but was forced to do so. I went to therapy for a year to treat that, and I managed to overcome this issue. I now like to say that Elle and I would have been best friends. The issue, after 10 years of marriage, we have been having a lot of arguments, derived from bad communication. We just seem to blow everything out of proportion. About 3 months ago, every time we have an argument, he takes the car and goes away for hours. When I asked where he went, he told me he, quote, went to see her, meaning Elle. Now this is very weird from him because he, at best, visits Elle's grave 3 times a year. I then asked him to not run away every time we fight and to please tell me when he goes to the cemetery so we can go together. He just brushed me off. He has been doing this for months now, and it is destroying me. The feelings I fought the first year of our relationship are coming back. I'm sad all the time. I cry at night, but my husband just keeps going away for hours. At this point, I think he is doing it out of spite more than anything else. Yesterday, I reached my limit. We fought over freaking trash. That's how petty our arguments are. He took the car at 4 p.m., returned at 11 p.m. I was waiting for him at the dining room. The convo went like this. Where were you? I visited her again. I've told you multiple times about how your actions hurt me, and you continue to do them. You can't stop me from going. Well, we can get a divorce. That way, you can marry Elle's tombstone, being that you care more about it than our marriage. I could see the shock in his face when I said that. I apologized immediately, but I think he did not hear me. I saw how he started crying. He has been locked in his office since yesterday, and he refuses to come out. I feel like the biggest asshole ever. What I said was a low blow and something horrible, but at the same time, A part of me thinks that what he is feeling right now is just a fraction of what he has put me through for months. Is there anything I can do to salvage this relationship? A Redditor told me to put this in the post. 3 months ago, we found out that I am pregnant after 8 years of trying. He has been visibly stressed out and reactive since the discovery, even though we both wished for a baby.
This is a story of the time that this girl wanted to fight me in school for no reason. So a little backstory, me and this girl were like really close friends for a few years, and then we started to fall out and then become friends again, and it was really on and off. So she was dating this kid about a year or two before this situation happened. And me and this kid knew each other, but we weren't like friends, we just had mutual friends, so sometimes we would hang out like in a group. During this time, me and the girl were on, so we had plans to hang out the same day. So I was walking to one of my classes when this girl that I barely talked to came up to me and was like, "Oh my God, did you hear, like, this girl wanted to fight you?" And I just laughed because I was like, what? Like, she's my friend. She never said anything to me. Like, we were just talking last night. So I texted her and I said, "So-and-so just told me that you wanted to fight me. What's going on? Like, why would she say that? Did you say anything? Are you mad at me? Blah, blah, blah." And she wasn't answering the phone. And she knew my entire schedule for school because we would meet up during class or whatever, but I'm leaving my lunch period and I turn around and I see her storming through people staring at me dead in the eye. Story of the time men were disgusting to me all day. So listen, I'm not trying to say that all men are creepy or all men are weird, but in my encounter this day, about 98% of men that I ran into were creepy and weird. So I live in a gated community with a pool, and most of the people that go to that pool are over the age of 50. And if they aren't, then it's somebody that's like living with their parents because it's like an older people community, you know what I mean? So anyway, I get in the pool, I start chilling in the corner where I always chill, and this older man comes and sits right next to me. He starts asking me about the tattoo on my leg and what it represents and all that. Anyway, then I decide to go in the pool because it was really hot, and as I'm sitting, a middle-aged man floats over to me and he says, "Hey, do you live here?" Which you can only go in the pool if you live there. So I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And let me know why he hit me with the oldest line in the book. He goes, "So you come here often?" I was like, "No, not today, no." So whatever, later that day, I end up going to Wawa. And lo and behold, I run into the old man. He goes, "You're from the pool?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." And he goes, "Oh, I didn't recognize you with clothes on." So then I'm waiting for my food, and this random guy walks past me and goes, "You have a great butt, by the way." Most of you guys know the story of the time that my ex-boyfriend cheated on me with my ex-best friend. And let me just tell you that this story just got juicier. And yes, it's been 4 years, like, this is just old news. But finally, after 4 years, I know exactly what went down. And was told by no other than the side piece herself. At least one of them. The main one. The one that I call him with. So anyway, I get a text from a random number. They're like, "Is this Mia?" And I was like, "Yeah, who's this?" And she responded with a very lengthy paragraph. I'm not gonna read it to you guys because I feel like, I don't know, it gets very detailed. And it's kind of personal. But she said, "Okay, I know I'm the last person that you want to hear from, but the guilt of what happened has just been on my shoulders for these past 4 years. I think about it every day. I've gone to therapy. And the last thing for me to do to get over this is to apologize for my actions." And she told me in detail everything that I kind of already knew, with a little bit more that I probably didn't need to know at this point. And now we're cool again. Comment your opinions below.
This is why you should always keep your phone charged. A girl named Marissa came home from school at around 3 p.m. She walked in the door and told her mom that some random number kept calling her all day. Her mom told her the person may have the wrong number and just to ignore it. Marissa said okay and begins to do her homework. A couple hours later, she receives a phone call from the same number. Marissa answers it this time and says, "Hello?" The man then says, "We finally found you. Don't worry, bunny." Marissa begins to panic and tells her mom what just happened. Her mom's face goes blank and says, "What did the man just call you?" Marissa says, "He called me bunny." Her mom yells and says, "Grab your stuff, we need to leave." Marissa, confused, packs her things and gets into the red car. Her mom begins driving fast and turns on the radio. The radio says, "The baby named Marissa who was kidnapped in the hospital 10 years ago has been found and police are searching for a red car." Marissa looks at the woman and says, "Who are you?" The woman looks back and says, "You can call me mommy." This is why you should never get away with murder. A woman named Sophia met a man named Daniel in high school. The couple would always talk about their future and how they wanted to travel when they were older. A couple years later, Sophia gives birth to a little girl named Mia. Mia was the average kid and always loved to carry around her blonde baby doll. One night while Mia was sleeping, Sophia went upstairs and killed the little girl. The couple hid the knife and doll in a box and got away with murder since there was no evidence. 10 years later, Sophia is pregnant again. She gives birth to a little girl named Olivia who had blonde hair. A few years later, they're sitting in the kitchen and Olivia finds the hidden box with the doll doll and knife inside. Olivia picks up the doll and looks at her mom and says, "I remember playing with this in my old body." This is why you should always FaceTime before bed. A woman named Catherine got off work and decided to get in the shower. She dried off, put her hair in a ponytail, and got ready for her FaceTime date with her husband since he was out of town. She laid in bed, got comfortable, and picked up her phone. She dialed her husband's phone number and it started to ring. Her husband answered the phone and the two talked about how their day went and just kind of caught up with one another. Then the power suddenly goes out. Catherine began to worry, but her husband told her not to panic. Since they purchased an older home, power outages were normal. Then he told her the power would turn back on in about 30 minutes. Catherine said okay and continued her conversation in the dark. She then realized her phone battery was low, so she reached to grab her charger. As she was reaching for the charger, her phone falls. Her husband becomes silent over the phone. She reaches under the bed and picks up her phone and says, "I think you're accidentally on mute." Her husband looks at her and says, "Under the bed." If you guys want to see more stories like this, make sure to like and follow.